For me, on the ring walk, even as close as the ring walk, he looked nervous. I expected Dubois to be the deer in the headlights. I think Anthony Joshua was the one that came out and looked a little bit shell-shocked. He was walking to the ring, not looking confident.
In a shocking turn of events at Wembley, Daniel Dubois lands a thunderous right hand, sending Anthony Joshua crashing to the canvas. The crowd roars in disbelief as the underdog defies the odds, securing a dramatic knockout victory. Joshua, known for his resilience, couldn't recover, marking a seismic shift in the heavyweight landscape. Don Charles isn't holding back when talking about Anthony Joshua. He feels that despite Joshua's fame, there's something missing. Charles believes Joshua gets too much attention just because of his name, not his recent performances.
But we understand and accept that Joshua is the draw. Worldwide, whoever he fights, he is the draw.
He's pointing out that Joshua's star power overshadows his skills. In his view, it's unfair that Joshua gets the spotlight, even if he's not the best fighter in the ring anymore. Don Charles is irritated by the hype around Anthony Joshua. He feels Joshua's stardom isn't based on talent anymore, but on people blindly following the buzz. Charles argues that people just repeat what they hear, without thinking for themselves.
So it was decided, obviously in the fight week, there's a lot of media obligations that the fighter has to do, and the training is normally trimmed down anyway to mere 20% of training every day from Monday to Thursday. Then it doesn't do anymore. So it was decided, we decided that I stay away so I don't give the fighter what I have, a bad flu, and which would hinder his performance, and which in some cases, if it's as bad as I am, he can't fight. Then that whole show, can you imagine?
Charles is dissing Joshua's fame, calling out fans for acting like sheep, blindly supporting him. He believes Joshua's popularity is more about hype than skill, suggesting that people don't question if Joshua is still at the top of his game. Don Charles reveals his clear and direct approach to preparing Daniel Dubois for the fight against Anthony Joshua. He stresses the importance of ownership and confidence in the ring, ensuring Dubois was mentally ready to dominate.
Yes, sir. I'm not going to complicate it. The game plan is what you saw. Take charge. Take ownership. You own this ring. When we got in that ring, I said to him, this is your ring. It belongs to you, okay? And take charge. And it wasn't just on the night. That's what was every sparring session he had in this ring for preparation. That was the mindset. We'd already rehearsed the whole thing, like you should do. And, you know, we prepared for any eventuality. We're expecting the best Anthony Joshua.
Charles continues to explain how the mindset wasn't just for fight night, but was drilled into Dubois through rigorous training. They planned for every possibility, expecting Joshua to be at his best.
This guy is an elite athlete, you know, elite level. It performed competed at a much higher level than Daniel Dubois, yeah, from being an Olympic gold medalist. And his resume speaks for itself. Anthony, this is of the personnel he has fought in his career. And so we'd be foolish to have gone into that fight under-preparing. We over-prepared, yeah? So to accommodate whatever they would have brought, we would have had answers to it.
Don Charles makes it clear that they respected Joshua's pedigree but made sure to train beyond expectations. They were ready for anything Joshua might bring to the ring, leaving nothing to chance. Don Charles also delves into a controversial moment during the fight, expressing frustration with how referees seem to treat high-profile fighters differently. He specifically points out how Anthony Joshua was given more leniency compared to other fighters in similar situations. He added, especially in the second round, where he caught Anthony, and Anthony was stumbling forward. He told him to come to him, and Anthony stumbled forward. If that was us, the referee would have waved that fight off. I know that for sure. Charles is adamant that had it been Dubois in the same situation, the fight would have been stopped instantly. He believes Joshua's status influenced the referee's decision to let the fight continue, highlighting the unequal treatment based on fame, not performance.
Clubs, there's so much inconsistencies, and because the referee, in my opinion, is a human being. He panicked. He didn't know what the hell was going on. He's thinking, hang on a sec, this is not supposed to be happening. But guess what, my dear friend? It is happening.
Don Charles speaks passionately about the negative judgments and criticism directed toward Daniel Dubois before and after the fight. He suggests that much of the hate comes from jealousy and bitterness, especially from those who wanted Dubois to fail. Charles is visibly frustrated by the unfair comments and their impact. He said, "People judge. They judge from a point of hatred and jealousy. It's what they want to happen. Do you think there was hatred and jealousy towards him? Well, yes, it's evident. I don't read a lot, but people send me things and it's quite hurtful. All the experts." Charles highlights how this constant negativity doesn't affect him personally, but he's determined to shield Dubois from it. He emphasizes that they use this criticism as fuel to work even harder, proving doubters wrong. He also noted, "It fuels us, yeah, and we work even harder. They said we couldn't do it, said it was a mismatch. Overconfidence got their fighter beaten." Ben Davidson, I have to name him, was so blasé, saying, "We could end this. This could be over. Who the hell are you? You came in yesterday to have that kind of stance." It was them that got their fighter beaten because of their attitude, complacency. Charles doesn't hold back, calling out Ben Davidson and others for their arrogance before the fight. He believes that their dismissive attitude toward Dubois ultimately led to their downfall, as complacency and overconfidence played a big role in their fighter's defeat. Charles makes it clear that they didn't let the outside noise get to them, but used it as motivation to push forward. Don Charles opens up about a painful chapter in his relationship with Anthony Joshua. As Joshua's former coach, Charles reveals how both Joshua and Derek Chisora asked him to stop training Joshua, leading to their split. He expresses hurt over the way he was treated, feeling dismissed after everything he had contributed to their careers. He remarked, "I'm going to tell my own story of how it happened. I've got video evidence of the whole thing, so don't dismiss me like that. That's not fair. I deserve better than that. You and Chisora asked me to stop training you, hence why me and you parted." Charles recounts how the situation unfolded and highlights the unfairness of being cast aside without proper acknowledgement. He feels betrayed by people he once helped and guided in their boxing journeys. He also noted, "Now he's with you, one of the cheerleaders, Chisora. If you knew what these people have done to me, shameful. And all I've done for all of them is good." Charles doesn't hold back his disappointment, calling out both Joshua and Chisora for their actions. He expresses frustration over how he was treated after being loyal and supportive, suggesting that their behavior was ungrateful and hurtful. The sense of betrayal is evident as he reflects on how he gave his best to help them in their careers, only to be cast aside. Carl Froch, a former world champion, analyzes Anthony Joshua's mindset during his fight, focusing on how nervous Joshua appeared even before stepping into the ring. Froch expresses surprise that Joshua, a seasoned fighter, seemed uneasy and tense during the ring walk, expecting the younger, less experienced Dubois to be the nervous one. He stated, "On the ring walk, even as close as the ring walk, he looked nervous. I expected Dubois to be the deer in the headlights, but I think Anthony Joshua was the one who came out and looked a little bit shell-shocked." Froch continued, observing Joshua's body language and demeanor as he approached the fight. He notes how Joshua seemed disconnected from the crowd, lacking his usual confidence and energy, a sign that something wasn't right mentally. Froch also noted he was walking to the ring, not looking confident. He wasn't really smiling or tapping people's hands on the ring walk. I looked into his eyes, his facial expression and body language as he walked. It almost looked like he was walking the Green Mile. He didn't look like he was enjoying himself. Froch emphasizes that Joshua's nervous energy was evident to anyone watching. He compares it to walking the Green Mile, a metaphor for a condemned person facing their fate, indicating that Joshua may have mentally lost the fight before it even began. This breakdown highlights Froch's belief that Joshua's mindset played a key role in his performance. Carl Froch continues to analyze Anthony Joshua's performance, pointing out how he struggled throughout the fight from the very first round. Froch details Joshua's defensive posture and mindset, suggesting that nerves and pressure affected his ability to execute his game plan effectively. He stated, "From round 1 right through to when he got stopped, it was under caution. He never really got anything going. In round 1, he walked straight into a jab. He came out with his guard up, his head upright, almost chin in the air, quite stiff and rigid looking, which can happen when you're a little bit nervous or thinking to yourself, there's a lot of pressure here. I've got to win this fight." Froch emphasizes that Joshua's nervousness likely impacted his performance, leading to mistakes early on. He notes that Joshua's body language indicated he was not in a good mental space, making him vulnerable to his opponent's strikes. He also noted, "So he would have been thinking about all that, so you can sort of have a bad first minute if you like, but he got hit with too many jabs. He was backing himself up in straight lines, and at the end of round 1 he sat on the ropes. Well, he pulled himself back into the ropes. He saw a shot coming." Froch points out that Joshua's retreating posture and failure to avoid punches signified a lack of awareness and strategy in the ring. He suggests that this defensive misstep led to Joshua being caught off guard, contributing to his eventual defeat. Froch's insights highlight how mental state and technical execution are crucial in high-stakes boxing matches. Continuing his breakdown of the fight, Carl Froch highlights a critical moment that occurred when Joshua attempted to evade a punch.
But he pulled out and got clipped with a right hand. Pulling out of a shot when you're a former two-time world champ and you've had all that sparring, all that experience, it's a novice move. He pulled away, got clipped, and then he went over. So at the end of round one, he's on the canvas. And then from that point, I think that's what finished him, because he never recovered.
He believes that once Joshua was knocked down, it shattered his confidence and left him vulnerable. From that point on, Joshua struggled to regain his composure, and the mental impact of the knockdown haunted him throughout the match.
Round 2, 3, and 4, he was up and down off the floor a couple of times. He got pushed over once, but he was under the cosh, going in and out in straight lines. Dubois was backing him up, hitting him with a jab, hitting him with right hands. Was he down 2, 3 times? I don't know, but he was down and up, and he was totally being punched from pillar to post.
Froch emphasizes how Joshua's inability to maintain his balance and composure during rounds 2, 3, and 4 left him increasingly vulnerable. He points out that Dubois consistently pressured Joshua, landing effective jabs and right hands that kept Joshua on the defensive. Froch paints a vivid picture of Joshua being overwhelmed, suggesting that the relentless assault from Dubois showcased a significant decline in Joshua's performance. This pattern of being knocked down and quickly getting back up reflected not only physical strain, but also a growing psychological burden, ultimately signaling a troubling shift in Joshua's fighting spirit. Carl Froch critiques Anthony Joshua's choice of trainer, Ben Davidson, expressing skepticism about the impact of this decision on Joshua's career. Froch believes that Joshua's performance in recent fights has not shown the improvement expected from a fighter of his caliber, and he attributes this stagnation to the change in coaching. He stated, "And now he's got Ben Davidson, and for me, he's gone backwards. He's not learning anything. He's not getting any better." Froch elaborates on his concerns regarding Davidson's coaching style and effectiveness. He suggests that rather than evolving as a fighter, Joshua has regressed, failing to adapt or refine his skills in the ring. Froch believes that this lack of progress is detrimental to Joshua's chances of reclaiming his former glory, leaving him vulnerable against top-tier opponents. He calls for a reassessment of Joshua's training approach to ensure he can compete at the highest level again. Continuing his analysis, Carl Froch critiques Anthony Joshua's strategy during the fight, particularly in the 5th round. He expresses disbelief that Joshua would take such risks against a powerful opponent like Daniel Dubois, known for his knockout ability. He also stated, "Rolling the dice in round 5 was a stupid idea because you're not going to roll the dice against someone who's a big puncher. All heavyweights bang, but Daniel Dubois is known for being an absolute tank with that right hand. If he hits you, you see the effect. Anthony Joshua looked like he'd been tasered, so my point is, he's gone backward." Froch stresses that Joshua's risky choices not only highlight a lack of strategic thinking, but also reflect a significant decline in his fight IQ. He argues that Joshua's willingness to gamble against a heavy hitter like Dubois shows a dangerous level of complacency or desperation, which is unacceptable for a fighter of his experience. It shows Froch's belief that Joshua's recent performances indicate a worrying regression in skill and mentality, jeopardizing his future in the sport.
But there's talks now of an immediate rematch with Daniel Dubois. I think Eddie Hearn's keen to chuck him straight back in there, because obviously Anthony Joshua's Eddie's cash cow, let's be honest. He's back in the driving seat if AJ can rectify that wrong. But for me, I think that is a bad fight. An immediate rematch. Daniel Dubois is already talking about, he's licking his lips saying, listen, I wasn't happy with my performance. I think I can finish Anthony Joshua even earlier.
Froch expresses his concerns about the prospect of an immediate rematch between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. He acknowledges Eddie Hearn's eagerness to capitalize on Joshua's popularity, viewing him as a lucrative asset for the promotion. However, Froch warns that jumping straight back into the ring with Dubois could be a mistake, especially given Dubois' confidence following their previous encounter. He notes that Dubois is already anticipating the rematch and believes he can secure an even quicker victory, which raises doubts about Joshua's ability to rebound effectively. Froch emphasizes that this fight could further damage Joshua's reputation and career if he isn't fully prepared to face a determined opponent.
Oh, I'm going to show you.
Yeah, it's a horrific photograph, isn't it? It's horrific, but he's a tough, strong, he's a big puncher, and he's a hurtful puncher, and I don't care who you are. If he catches you, you're in trouble. You are in trouble, and he's a good finisher.
Frank Warren emphasizes the significance of the image, showing Daniel Dubois landing a punch on Anthony Joshua, illustrating the raw power and danger Dubois poses in the ring. He reinforces the idea that Dubois's reputation as a formidable heavyweight stems from his ability to deliver devastating blows. Warren reminded that regardless of Joshua's experience, facing a puncher like Dubois always carries substantial risk, particularly if the fight reaches a critical moment. This perspective heightens the stakes tactics for any potential rematch, highlighting the challenges Joshua would face if they were to meet again. Teddy Atlas shifts the focus to Dubois' tactical approach during the fight. He highlights how Dubois strategically utilized his jab to create challenges for Anthony Joshua, preventing him from effectively timing his own counters. Atlas underscores the importance of distance management in heavyweight boxing and how Dubois executed this aspect to his advantage. Atlas stated, "He came in behind the jab at the right distance where he could back up Joshua, make it hard for Joshua to time him with right hands, make it difficult, put bugs on the windshield, make it hard to see as he came in. He did that." Atlas elaborates on how this strategy not only disrupted Joshua's rhythm, but also forced him into a defensive mindset. By effectively using his jab, Dubois created openings and minimized Joshua's offensive opportunities, illustrating a calculated approach to the fight. This analysis reinforces the idea that Dubois' success was not just about raw power, it was also about intelligent ring generalship, making him a formidable opponent in their matchup.
The reason, at the end of the day, yeah, he hit him a right hand. Yeah, Joshua showed his flaws, technical flaws. And any time a guy gets knocked out, in my business, it's usually, yeah, the guy's got power, but it's usually because there was a flaw that the guy exploited that landed the punch.
Teddy Atlas emphasizes that while power plays a crucial role in knockouts, it's often the technical flaws in a fighter's technique that lead to their downfall. He highlights that Anthony Joshua's vulnerabilities were evident during the fight, suggesting that Dubois capitalized on these weaknesses to deliver the decisive blow.
Whatever, it's usually a flaw. And the flaws of Joshua definitely were exploited by Dubois. But again, it wasn't that. It was that. But it wasn't. It was the man that was capable of taking what he had to take to get there to throw those punches. Dubois took a couple right hands early on. He took a few. And that's what he did. He took them.
Teddy underscores the importance of technical proficiency in boxing, as even elite fighters can be caught off guard by skilled opponents who can exploit their errors. Furthermore, Teddy Atlas shifts the focus to the physical attributes of the fighters, particularly their chins, which are crucial in determining a boxer's ability to withstand punches. He reflects on the contrasting durability of Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua, setting the stage for a comparison of their resilience in the ring. He stated, "When it came down to chins, Dubois' chin was better than Joshua's. People say, well, you got stopped. No, his constitution was weak. His chin was never questioned." Atlas underscores that, despite Joshua's knockout loss, it doesn't necessarily reflect on his chin's strength, but rather on his overall physical condition and mental state during the fight. He implies that Dubois' ability to absorb punishment without faltering played a significant role in his performance, reinforcing the idea that durability is a key factor in a fighter's success.
People say, well, he got stopped twice. No. His constitution was weak. His chin was never questioned. Dubois' chin was never questioned by Joyce, by Usyk, by anyone. It was his constitution, it was his inside, it was his belief. It was that. And now that is fire tested. That is iron now. That is something to be proud of. And he is proud of that.
It highlights the importance of not just power, but also the structural integrity of a boxer's physique when facing heavy hitters. Teddy Atlas passionately emphasizes Dubois' incredible resilience and determination. He paints a vivid picture of the mental battles every fighter faces, illustrating that Dubois didn't just confront his fears, he fought back with unwavering courage.
When the devil knocks at the door, and the devil knocks at everybody's door, and whatever you do, the temptation to give in, to say you're not good enough, I can't handle it, I capitulate, I spit the bid, I quit, whatever you want to call it, the devil knocks at everyone's door. He found out that he could freaking open the door and punch the devil in the face and said, get out of here, get out of here, you're not taking my soul. I am not to be taken. I am not to be grabbed.
This metaphorical punch at the devil symbolizes Dubois' refusal to succumb to doubt or adversity, showcasing his strength of character. Atlas's words highlight that Dubois' victory was not only a physical triumph, but also a significant psychological milestone, marking him as a fighter who can overcome immense challenges. Teddy Atlas delves deeper into the technical aspects of Anthony Joshua's performance, pinpointing a specific mistake that contributed to his downfall in the fight. He analyzes Joshua's mechanics, explaining how a lapse in his his usual technique disrupted his rhythm and left him vulnerable. He explained, he dropped it to his knee to throw it. That delayed his whole system, his whole rhythm of punching. It gave him a split second that he's there looking to unload, and in that moment, he drops his left hand as he's throwing the right, another bad habit. Atlas emphasizes that these technical flaws were not just minor errors. They were critical mistakes that a seasoned fighter should avoid. He argues that Joshua's tendency to drop his guard while throwing punches left him exposed to counterattacks, underscoring how vital discipline and technique are in the heavyweight division. Atlas believes that Joshua's loss was a culmination of both physical and technical missteps, marking a need for him to refine his skills moving forward.
Yeah, it's right or it's wrong. There's no in between. And boxing is too final. It's not forgiving.
Continuing his detailed breakdown of Anthony Joshua's performance, Teddy Atlas highlights another critical mistake that compromised Joshua's defense. He underscores how Joshua's poor positioning and decision-making left him susceptible to counterattacks during key moments of the fight. Teddy also noted he dropped his hand for the right uppercut after throwing 3 straight right hands in a row, came in on a straight line. When he threw the right uppercut, he dropped his left and got hit by a beautiful straight right hand he never saw. Atlas stresses that this lapse in defense illustrates a significant flaw in Joshua's approach, revealing a lack of awareness and adaptability in the ring. He points out that such oversights can be catastrophic at the elite level, where opponents capitalize on every opening. This moment serves as a stark reminder of the need for constant vigilance and technical precision in boxing, further highlighting the challenges Joshua faced throughout the match and the areas he must address in his training. Dubois shocks the world with a devastating KO over Joshua at Wembley, flipping the heavyweight division on its head. Joshua, unable to recover, faces questions about his future in the ring, while Dubois rises as a new force to reckon with. What's next for Joshua? Can he bounce back, or is this the beginning of the end? Let us know in the comments.